All right, so I haven't I haven't recorded or uploaded a video in a while. Well, I have recorded some videos. I just wasn't happy with how they turned out. And since I'm a one take guy, I'm not recording anything. First thing you might notice, yes, I cut my hair. Second thing you might notice is I am still in shambles, and yes, the Celtics are in the finals. Ugh. I didn't even have them making the first, leaving out of the first round. I called them a first round exit. I was like, their defensive player of the year is not impressive. I still believe that. Honestly, Marcus Smart's strides as an offensive player is more important, and the reason why this team was able to turn around so quickly. His advancements as a playmaker, Tatum's advancements as a playmaker, which is something that a lot of people who actually knew what the fuck they were talking about were saying, but not a lot of people actually believe they could do it. Me being included, because up until this point, yes, Smart had the longest tenure on the Celtics, but he wasn't having the longest improvement either. The improvement that he made mid-season, mind you, not something that he was doing in the beginning of the season. The decision-making that he had mid-season improved so much and so vastly that they're actually in a team that deserves to be in the finals right now. So let me give them their flowers first. All right, that's enough flowers for them. I am still a Cavs fan. I am still a regional Celtics hater. The city of Boston as a whole pisses me off to no ends. All right, I've made it to around the 130 mark into the video, and now I'm going to tell you something that actually matters. I still have Golden State beating them in 6. What? Why, Vizquel? This series is 1-1. And also, if that's the first time you've heard me use my name in these productions, congratulations. Why do you have them winning in 6? After all, the Celtics took a game on their home court in game 1. With the biggest turnaround in finals history. Right? Yeah. So what I saw in those 2 games was that the Celtics really couldn't guard the Warriors when they were going, right? The Celtics did not stop the Warriors. The Warriors stopped the Warriors. And this is the same thing for the Warriors. The Warriors did not stop the Celtics. The Celtics stopped the Celtics. Experience as a whole in the finals is overrated. I will not explain that. You either know or you don't, right? It's overrated, all right? If experience mattered all that much, Jay Crowder would be a finals champion right now. And as we all know, Giannis the one that got that jewelry. So, by the way, this is my school ring, so don't even worry about that. Yeah. All right. So, why am I saying experience is overrated in the finals? I just told you I'm not explaining that. We're moving on. All right? Cool. Great. Tatum. If Tatum wins the series, am I going to finally admit that he's a superstar? It depends on how he goes out in this series. It depends if he wins the series, to be honest. If he wins the series and he does it in an impressive manner, I will call Tatum a superstar. Because there is no way in hell right now the version of Tatum that I've seen over the past 2 games can be a fucking superstar. Why is that? Jaylen Brown has outplayed him. And I am going to do this once and only once. There is very rare occasions where your co-star can outplay you, where they are not a superstar in my opinion, and you can be excused. Or the gap between you can be big enough and you can be excused, all right? LeBron was not excused in 2011. LeBron was a superstar. Here's the thing though. Wade was also a superstar. The gap between them, I think, is similar enough between 2011 LeBron and 2011 Dwayne Wade. I don't know if anyone remembers that, and I went back because I was like, what? I'm 18 now. 2011, 22, 11 years ago, right? I was Jesus Christ. I was 7, all right? I didn't fucking watch that finals when I was growing up. I didn't even like basketball yet, all right? Cool. Wade outplayed him, all right? Cool. That's all we needed to discuss. That's very rare. There are some times where Kobe outplayed Shaq, but clearly Shaq was the star. Was the star, and then Kobe was a star. There's a difference. I just don't think Jason Tatum currently can be a superstar if I'm not going to have Jaylen Brown as one either. because the gap between them is not big enough, right? I certainly think that Jalen is not a tier below Tatum. Okay? That's really why I don't believe Tatum can be a superstar. Where I put Brown, right? If I'm making a list of the NBA talents and then I'm putting Tatum, he's not escaping that tier. You see how these like are almost interlocked. They're not in the same place exactly. Tatum is clearly still above him, but not by that much. All right, this is some wiggle room, and honestly, Tatum is gonna have to grow. I don't see Brown making that much improvement based on where he is currently right now. I think this is the Brown we can expect for the rest of his career. I think with some minor improvements to Brown, he'll be up here then, and then with some minor improvements to Tatum, he can be up here, to be quite honest. And this will solidify him as a superstar for me. This right here. And no, being a top 10 player does not make you a superstar immediately, okay? Because there was times where Tatum was a top 10 player and I just didn't have him as a superstar, okay? And this version of Tatum is certainly better than the version of Tatum back then, so I'm not going to rewrite history to be like, oh, that version of Tatum lost his superstar privileges. That doesn't make sense, all right? Tatum got better, so there's no way you could lose superstar privileges. You just weren't a superstar back then. Same thing with Siakam, all right? And Siakam's pretty underrated too. Let me talk about the actual things that are going on in the series and what needs to happen and the adjustments that need to be made. Game 1, the Warriors were daring them to shoot on the road, and the Celtics actually shot well on the road, and they killed them the entire game. Or they were keeping it close the entire game. So that's when even the Warriors got hot. Even if the Warriors got hot, they were still barely beating them. Or in the latter half of the game, really getting their ass kicked in that fourth quarter. All right? But I don't think that's going to happen again. Now, I think the Celtics will play better at home. That is just straight up true. The Celtics have played better at home. And the Celtics have only lost games at home when they lost to themselves. All right? Let's be real. Okay? I don't think there was a single time where the Celtics lost a game at home that they didn't either lose to themselves or the other person or someone else on the enemy team had a historic performance. For example, the Bucks in Game 5 that was a historic performance. And the Celtics just got unlucky, all right? Because I honestly don't think any other day of the year that the Bucks are making that comeback, okay? The Bucks aren't doing that every year. We saw how the series turned out. It happened like that for a reason. The Heat series. Yeah, again, Jimmy Butler put on a fucking historic performance in Game 6. Them losing Game 6 was either, you can either say it's they lost to themselves, or they lost to Jimmy Butler, who had an historic performance. And that game was a lot closer than people want to really admit. Now, and yeah, they still won, but that's not the point. The Heat, in this case, is they, by the way. And Game 7 on the road. Let's be real. I'm thinking Game 7 on the road. Miami's got it, right? Miami did not have it. The Celtics played up to par. So they were talking about the Celtics at home. The Celtics at home they should defend home court pretty well tonight. And this video is only 8 minutes long in comparison to my other stuff. But like that's really because there's not a lot of history to go over. It's not a lot of rambling that I can really do. I mean, there's a lot of rambling that I'm doing right now, even though because stretching out minutes to like ad minutes and stuff, revenue. Yeah, you understand. You watch YouTube. You know what the YouTubers talk about. But anyway, the Celtics should be good enough to take their home court advantage right now. And I just mean in this game, not the series, obviously. And win this game. I do think Golden State has a chance. I do think that's possible. Right? Because Golden State lost at home. But the dominant fashion that they showed in Game 2, it's really a coin toss who wins this game. I think the Celtics should win this game narratively. It just makes sense. Narratively. Basketball-y or whatever you want to say. It just makes more sense for them to win at home. But I could totally see a world where both teams drop their first game at home. Okay, now let's talk about something more important. Steph has been on fire the last both of those games. For those who have been wondering where Steph has been at this entire playoffs, well, he's here now, bastards. And yeah, Steph has had some performances where I'm like, he looks like Steph, but like when he looks like Steph, those games are already over. Steph has had to look like Steph, and these games haven't been over yet. Game 1 is a great example of that. Steph went frozen in the second quarter, but I really wasn't worried for some reason because he came back and he started hitting shots a little bit more. But by then it was like, wow, the game's out of reach, and it's really weird because both of these teams have great depth, right? I remember watching the Dallas series with Golden State, and there was a game that they simply already lost, right? Because the Mavericks went up really big, and the bench started getting them into games. My question is for the Warriors and these are important. If Moutier will play, because that's important, and if Moutier will play, and Kuminga, right? Is the cum bucket seeing finals minutes? Okay, out of our serious note, is Isaac Kuminga seeing finals minutes? Where is he playing? How is he playing? That all depends. Kerr has not shown me that he wants to play him, and I don't even think he played him in the garbage minutes of Game 2. I could be wrong because I stopped watching that game when the Celtics clearly had already lost at that point. Like, Poole hit that shot, and we all agreed that it was nighttime, right? It was past their bedtime. It was time to go to bed, all right? The same way the Celtics did that to them at home, yeah, it was past the Warriors' bedtime at that point. It was time for them to go to bed. All right? That's important. How good is Poole going to play? That's also important. Boston theoretically has the best possible matchup for Golden State possible, right? They have really solid big men that Looney can guard Robert Williams, but Robert Williams is going to win that matchup most of the time. Offensively and defensively, neither of them are slouches, but Robert Williams, again, is great on the defensive end, right? They have large, big perimeter wings that can stop them on the perimeter, right? And even when Robert Williams isn't playing, which sometimes Robert Williams on the floor against Steph Curry is going to be a detriment at certain parts in the series. He will block Steph's shot, but he will block Steph's shot about as many times as he fouls him, if not less. Okay? So they need to figure that out. They weren't switching things in Game 1, and suddenly in Game 2 they stopped switching things as well, and it got out of hand. Kerr is a better coach. Kerr has more experience. Kerr is a better coach than Udoka currently. So I'm interested to see what adjustments that Udoka will make. He is a first-year coach, so I'm not gonna. Honestly, the fact that he took this team from where he was, no one can give him coach. He probably should have won Coach of the Year in hindsight. But Monty was so in front that hindsight, right? It's a regular season award. The fact that he went on that streak, though, in the regular season, should have been a lot more debatable than it was. But yeah, it's like 13 minutes in. I think this is a decent enough size for recording, but I will talk about a couple more things just so we get to the 15-minute mark, okay? If you're cool with that. If you're not cool with that, you can click off the video. But you subscribe and like this video because you watched this far into the video anyway. All right, so Klay. I have not seen a Klay Thompson game yet. Klay showed up for Game 6. Showed up for Game 6 last series. So I'm really wondering when Klay is going to have that game. And if it happens tonight on the road, that can be really scary for either team. I don't know who is afraid. Horford in the same vein, though. Horford has showed up to these series. And that has been a reason why the Celtics were winning Game 1. That was a reason why Celtics were impressive in Game 2. For the most part, until it got out of hand. And that's the thing with the Warriors, that they can get out of hand really quickly. The Celtics, look, Game 1, Derek White was hitting a lot of threes, right? I came out of that game, and again, you got to take into perspective. I'm hating on the Celtics. I'm sitting over there like, but this is not hate when I say this. Derek White is not going to hit those threes like that. And I'm talking about the contested ones. The open ones, yeah, maybe. Grant Williams, the same way he hit them threes in Game 7 of the Bucks series, I'm like, he's not going to hit those all the time. Horford hitting all those threes in Game 1, a lot of those were open. That's not going to happen all the time. What the Celtics need to figure out is to not settle for shots. They need to act more like, some of them need to act more like Brown. I'm looking at Tatum. They need to act more like Brown and need to drive to the rim. Again, this is the series that will determine if Tatum is a superstar going into the next season, all right? How Tatum plays in Game 3 at home will ultimately determine it. Because honestly, if you think that I'm going to give him props, regardless of if he wins the series, if he doesn't show up at home in Game 3, we are going to have a problem. I'm not calling him a superstar, and there's nothing you can do to change my mind, because that'll just be it. It will depend, again, on the performances that he has later and down the series, but Game 3 is a crucial and pivotal game for Tatum. And if he shows up or doesn't show up is the most important thing there. That being said, though, it's been your boy Basketball Soup. If you liked the video, like the video. If you didn't like the video, I mean, that's whatever. You should like it anyway, because no one can see your dislikes. And if you want to subscribe, I mean, you're probably already subscribed, because I only got like 10 subscribers anyway. So, like, yeah. That's it. I'm going to go make a thumbnail. Bye.